Good evening, everyone. Just me. Just me. Chris is out running errands. I don't know where she is. She should be back, I guess. Hey, Nicole. How you doing? Just me. Chris isn't here. She's out buying birthday cards and running around. Patricia, Deb, Laura, how are you doing? John McGinnis, I saw you up there. How are you? Friday night. I know it's been a while. When did we do that live at the Creeper? Was it Tuesday? Tuesday, right? Tuesday we did the live at the Creeper Gallery. Lots have happened since then. We were planning on doing a live yesterday, Thursday, and a friend of ours, it's not like the mafia. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? Teresa, a friend of ours, Connie Alec, guys, the medium, who also deals in real estate. We had her on, I think, a few times, maybe one time here, one time on the cable access. Hey, Brent, how are you? Luann, how you doing, Luann? Heather, she got involved in a case, a private case, and she asked if we would kind of come along and help her out with it. And we had worked with Connie before, and Connie's a good friend of ours. Hey, Karen. And we said, we would do it. Not knowing initially that it was like an hour and 20 minutes away from us. And with traffic, it was longer. So we said we'd do it. And we had to be there at 6 o'clock, 5:30 yesterday. So we drove all that way. We went to this house of really, really super, super nice people. It was two sisters, younger, and their mom were there, and I was there with Chris and Connie. And I can't get into specifics because I'm sure they don't want it. They don't want it public. Nothing bad or malicious that they're dealing with. Just something that was very frustrating to them, and that things that were happening according to them between like 2 in the morning and 6 in the morning is when these things would happen. And again, it was nothing bad. Nobody was being no shadow figures. Nobody being scared or scratched or pushed or anything like that. It was just the things that were happening seemed to happen at those times. So we went in there and like we usually do, met the people. You get a feel for people, who they are, what their beliefs are, and they showed us some videos that they had, and right off the bat for me, I'm looking at orbs, and I'm not the person to show orb videos to, because you're not going to get what you want out of me when you show me orb videos. Not when it's different. Again, like I said, I've seen enough orb videos to know the kind of characteristics of a real kind of spirit anomaly, and just a bunch of dust going back and forth, 3, 4, 5, 10 at a time. And what I was looking at was more of that. And, like I said, some people, they don't like to hear that as an explanation, but there were other things going on there besides that, which is what I always ask when people say to me, hey, I want to show you this video of, orbs in my house, in my living room, in my bedroom. And I always ask them the same thing. Is there anything else going on in your home that, besides that would lead you to believe that whatever you're seeing is paranormal or related to anything spiritual or whatever? And if the answer is no, nothing else happened except for me capturing dust flying, then I'm gonna tell you that it's probably nothing. So we went there, and we were there from 6 to probably 11:30, and then we had to drive all the way back. And the issue is that, unfortunately, because we did have to get home and it was a weeknight, unfortunately we couldn't stay until the 2 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning window, and that was really my one regret. I mean, we counseled them through a lot of what they believe that they were experiencing. And again, I can't deep dive into it because these people are really good people and they are working on the things that we advise them to work on. But that was my one regret was, hey, David, was not being there during that time frame, because even then, to do your due diligence, if that's when people are experiencing things and you can't go and say, it's not paranormal related if you're not there, if it's happening all the time during those hours. And according to these people, it was. So we did give them some guidance. Connie as well counseled them. Hopefully that resolves their issue and the things that we advised them to do. And some of that was kind of taking back your space, you know, uh, letting whoever might be there know you live here now. This is your home. They need to move on, that sort of thing, but other things as well that were not so paranormal related. And hopefully that's enough and resolves the issue, but they know. And again, these people were so nice, really nice people. They know that if they check those boxes of the things that we ask them to do, that if they don't resolve anything, then we will have to go there and be there from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. We have to. You have to do your due diligence when, something like that is occurring. You can't go and diagnose something and tell people, what's going on if it's happening in a window and you're not there during that window. And we weren't. So hopefully what we told them, I think, should address their issues. But again, if it doesn't, we'll be back there again at some point. Good evening, Nicholas. How are you? Yeah, 8:30. I was going to start at 8 when Chris was still around before she left. But that's another thing I'm going to talk about in a minute. I got a phone call, and that's a whole nother story I'm going to get into in a minute. So we do this private case. Unexpected. We weren't planning on doing it. We do get the request to do a lot of private cases, and we do as many as we can, but there's only so much time during the week and so many hours to do things. Hey, Chris from California, how are you? So we take them as we can. So on top of that, we have Saturday is Bevins with John Zaffis again, which I talked to John last week about some things, and John's very much looking forward to coming back. He loves Camp Evans. He loves that building. He's looking forward to it. And tomorrow night is the event where it's a meet and greet. 6:30 it starts, and 8 o'clock starts the ghost hunt. And I can't wait. Anybody who knows me knows how I feel about John's office. I think he's, top of the food chain, and I enjoy soaking in that knowledge and just being around him. He's a funny guy. He's got kind of the same sense of humor as we have, and he's good at what he does. And it's a pleasure for me to watch someone like him investigate. I mean, we do what we do all the time, but for me to be able to sit back and watch, John Zaffis do his thing, it's like, some guy who plays guitar who thinks he's good watching Eddie Van Halen play next to him and going, I'm really not that great at all, am I? The Love Tub. The Love Tub is definitely, I'm sure he will go down there first thing. I'm sure of it. Good evening, Chantel. Chantal, am I saying that right? I hope I get it right. Chantal, I'm trying to look with one eye. So thanks for joining us from our neighbor to the north, Canada. Sometimes I wish I was in Canada nowadays of what goes on in this country lately, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so that's the other thing that, we're gearing up for the John Zaffis event tomorrow. Then we have Berkeley College. I believe that's Tuesday night. Now, we've gotten permission to do that live. So I asked them if they were okay with it, and I said, if you're not, we're just going to film it ourselves, and we'll show you guys whatever we captured. I'll edit it, and I'll show you if there is anything. I'll show it to you. If there's nothing to show. But I did get permission to live stream that investigation. So, in all likelihood, it's going to be me, Chris, and Tanya, and we're going to be heading up there probably starting. I don't know. I think we're starting at 8. I think we're going to get there at 7, set up, get the lay of the land, go over where the quote unquote hot spots were. And God willing, the Wi-Fi is good there, and we could just show you what we're finding in real time. So it'll be our first time ever there investigating, and hopefully you guys will come along for the ride, and that'll be next Tuesday. So I just got the email literally this afternoon. He got approval from the board, and he said, go ahead and live stream it if you want to. So, I will. Caffeine. It's Berkeley College in Woodland Park, which is next to Patterson in Jersey, of course. And again, we're not talking about those buildings were there, I believe, from the early 1900s, and then they were renovated. I think in 2014, they renovated every single one of the buildings, but they used a lot of the material from the old buildings. So in the one particular building, they have this. It's weird. It's like I think it might even be the library. It's like way open plan in the middle and a big circle, and it goes up the levels. And I think the levels, the surrounding thing that encloses the levels, is the actual outside facade of some of the other buildings that used to be there. And those buildings, how you doing, Alex? Those buildings, like Chris was saying, there were nuns that were there for years and years and years. And the nun cemetery is adjacent to one of the buildings. Little tiny cemetery. You probably wouldn't even know it was there, but the headstones were all well kept and taken care of, even though the nuns aren't there anymore. And then there's a section in the middle. And I don't know how much we're going to delve into this and how much we're going to do there. It all depends on what they're comfortable with. But if you ever go there, the whole entire middle, and Chris pointed it out to me, where we parked, and she's like, are there statues over there? Like, there's all trees and everything, and you can't really see through them. And I'm like, yeah, there is something there. And beautiful statues of Mother Mary and other statues, and some they built into the mountain, like the side of the mountain that's over there, and just really, really beautiful. And they, even after all this time, they still look great. But they were saying that a lot of people that practice Santeria and stuff come up there and use that now for their own, be careful, for their own purposes. So did that cause an issue for whoever built it and whoever was there at one time that's causing any activity that they're experiencing? Who knows? I mean, it's just, again, a theory. And I'm not going to throw a million of them out there because, I'm watching everybody knows I love the Ghost Adventures. Love them. And I just watched their newest episode, and it's like, let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Right at the beginning of the episode, we'll tell you that the place was a creamery. Native Americans were here. The people that worked here, died. Some of them died a death outside of the plant. And we got all that. So in case something happens, it could be one of any of those things, which is true. But it's okay to present that stuff. Like, I'm presenting the fact that, these statues are there, and they would go out there and pray. And the fact that they're not being used for Christian or Catholic type of things may have caused an issue for someone somewhere. It's possible. So that's one of the things that we're going to explore delicately during that investigation. Entirely possible. Could be someone who went to school there. It could be one of the nuns. It could be someone who worked there. Who knows? Or it could be nothing. the things that they're hearing may be explainable. And may be able to explain, what's going on there. But we'll do it live. So as we're going, you'll see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully we do catch some stuff there because we're coming back there, not for a public event. That may happen later on, depending on what we catch. But they're inviting some of the alumni back to join us for a ghost hunt within those buildings, depending on what we find. So that should be kind of cool. We've never really done that before. So that's yet another thing that we're doing. So put that on top of the fact that I'm literally sitting across from where I am now, and I'm about to swap out the batteries on every piece of equipment I have, plug everything in that needs to be charged, which if I showed you that side of, that side of the camera, you would see just a holy mess. But I'm sitting down, my phone rings, and if I don't recognize the number, I ain't answering. So I didn't recognize the number. And I wait, I hear the ding, went to voicemail, and I'm like, okay. Hit my voicemail when I'm putting some batteries in, and I hear, my name is so-and-so. I represent a very old 5-acre cemetery in New Jersey that hasn't been open for 7 to 8 years. 8,000 people are buried in this cemetery, but only 3,500 headstones, of which a lot of them have broken apart, and and it's all enclosed, this whole entire cemetery, with a stone, according to our big stone wall with iron fences around it. And people have seen things and heard things because now they're mowing the lawns and trying to open this up to the public. So it is similar to, again, like you see on these shows, and people are seeing things and hearing things. And they said, would you be interested in coming? And normally, from what did she say, 1820 to 1970 something, she said. So anyway, so anywhere else, I'm not a big proponent of investigating outdoors. I really don't like it. I don't, because I've done it, and it's hard enough to eliminate contamination when you're in a building and there's people maybe in the next house over, the house behind, or whatever. Random noises from the house, air conditioning, heating, whatever, pipes. Outdoors is that times 50. So when you're outdoors and you're trying to investigate, you have to consider cars going by, and there are people in the area, and there are crickets making so much friggin' noise that you couldn't do an EVP session if you wanted to. EMF stuff, yeah, you probably could do, because who knows if there's power lines around a cemetery. But it's pretty difficult to do anything outdoors as far as investigations. So I spoke to this person for a good hour almost, really, really nice person. And I said to her, look, here's what I'll do. We'll come up and we'll tour the grounds that you have, that you've kind of, all the, you've taken care of now, so that people can walk in it. Again, first time in 8 years, this cemetery's been open. I said, we'll take a tour of it, see what we're dealing with, see what it looks like, see what the surrounding area is like. And then we'll talk to whoever experienced anything there. Hey, Dana. And then, depending on that, possibly we'll come in at night and we'll see what we can see. I mean, that's really all that we could do. And they were really, really interested, and they knew who we were. And it was really just kind of like a really good conversation. She was a really nice person. And again, do I like the idea of doing the cemetery? Not really. Again, I don't like the idea of trying to account for that much contamination, you know, but you never know. That's what, hey, there he is. What's up, Robert? That's what drives me always is the what if. And Robert, I'm sure you would agree with me on this. Um, Sometimes even the scenario that you would think is, ho hum, I'm going to be going into this old building from the 1800s that, yeah, there aren't a lot of reported deaths or none. Yeah, people said they saw this or saw that. And you go in that building and you're like, whoa, really? Whoa. And those are the moments that I live for. And that for even if there's 20 or 30 of those, really wasn't nothing, what a waste of time type of thing. The chance that there could be that one that makes me go, holy crap, look what's going on. And then again, I'm going to get ghost adventure on you, if there is such a word. If we ghost adventure it and we say, here we have a very, very old cemetery, right? That at one time was probably well kept and kept up with this enclosure, with 8,000 people buried there. Only 3,500 of which had headstones. So again, let's look at this from a human perspective. Those other 4,500, how do they feel about being in a cemetery where there's no markings at all to represent that they were ever alive and that they're there? And B, the thing was just left to rot, the cemetery. I mean, just completely overgrown for 8, 9 years, headstones falling apart, the ones that remained. What does that do for you if you have any feelings at all about your quote unquote final resting place, where your body is, where your family could have come if your name was there? And maybe they couldn't afford a headstone, which is entirely possible because this person told me that this cemetery in particular wasn't for the wealthy. It was for people that were not wealthy, who could barely afford to be buried there. And the other ones who couldn't really afford it, they were just there, buried. And again, I couldn't imagine, cremate me. If that's what you're going to do, then cremate me. Don't bury me in a hole somewhere and just nothing to acknowledge that I was ever there or that I am there, you know? Hey, Celine, how are you? So, the those factors alone piqued my curiosity to where, and not only that, I was also told that people committed suicide in that cemetery. And from what I was told, it was more than a few, which is totally bizarre to me. But again, you get certain people with issues and they wander in there and they're already depressed or on drugs or whatever, and they're in this final resting place and they figure, here I am. Why not? Right? So that also made me go, boy, this is getting more interesting by the minute. So you never know what energy could be in that. And maybe there's none. Maybe, God willing, they all moved on and are where they're supposed to be. Hey, Kathy. But if it's anything like places like Gettysburg and, these other places where the land is just soaked with, you know, depression and bad energy and just, you know what I mean? There's a chance something could be there. And the fact that no one's been in there in 8 years and no one's been in there to do what we do, yeah, I'm going in there to check that out for sure. For sure. So I'll deal with the contamination aspect and do the best we can, whoever comes out to do that with me. But my interest is so peaked that, yeah, it's definitely enough to have me go there and try. And you know me, I mean, we did a room in a municipal building with a bunch of artifacts. Just why? Because you don't know. You don't know. If people are seeing things and hearing things in that room, somebody may be in there. And if there's a chance of that, then why not take the chance to go in there and communicate with them and find out who they are and what they want and why they're there? Nobody else is doing it. Let's go in there and see, you know? So that just literally happened an hour ago, which is why I didn't start at 8 o'clock too. I was on the phone with her till 10 after 8 at least. So just so you know, she also agreed to let us stream that. So if we do go in there and figure it's worth doing, you guys will be creeping around the cemetery with us as we go try to talk to one of 8,000 people, you know? So it's cool that it kind of worked out that way because, I mean, if we're doing it, there's no harm in doing it as a live stream because we're not going to be disrespectful to anybody. We're going to really go in there and hopefully if anybody, even if just one of those people there wants to communicate, we're open to finding out as much as we can and you know, help it any way we can. Krista actually came back home, but she's staying in there away from all you, from me, from all of us. They're wondering where you are, you big shot celebrity. Are you on the phone still? No, I just got off. Well, come hither.
Come, Paulo. I'm blocked.
You're blocked? You mean
blocked from over there? Hello. Howdy. You don't even have a thing where you can see.
Well, you weren't here, so I didn't need the old lady monitor.
I can't say.
So I was telling them about the college. We're going Tuesday. We were talking about the John Zappis thing tomorrow, and then I was telling them about the call about the cemetery. Didn't tell them where it was, of course, but you didn't. She was gone while I was on that phone call too. 8,000 people, 8,100 people buried there. The cemetery has been open in 8 years, and only 3,500 have headstones. The rest are all unmarked. So you want to talk about the possibility of. So there she is. Hey, Kathy. I'm totally going in there and Zach Baggins it. I'm probably going to wind up doing the robot. I'm probably going to wind up.
How many are buried there?
8,100. 8,100. So. 8, and she said we could stream it if we wanted to, as did Berkeley College.
Really?
So, so if we stream the cemetery, you might see for yourself our version of Aaron running through the cemetery and out the gate. Just a little chance that could happen. All of them are buried there. Yeah, they're all buried there. So that's part of the what's been going on, and I don't know. We didn't get into that, Luann. Why did they close the cemetery? All I know was closed for 8 years, and they completely let it go to you know what.
No more room?
No, it was unkept. They just closed the gates like Willy Wonka's factory, and they let the grass grow, and they let like the one we went to, like Somerset. They just let nature have it, and it ruined most of the headstones and everything.
And I don't know if this is the case, but I remember the first time that I'd come across this, and it was actually my grandmother who told me about this. And there was a cemetery that there was a big hoopla going on that they were actually going to plow it over and use it for something else. And I was just like, they can't do that. So. And she goes, actually, yes, they can.
Hello, poltergeist.
And people don't like it, but if all living descendants are gone or no longer coming and upkeeping or a part of the process, they actually can decimate and get rid of and let go of cemeteries. And a lot of people think that cemeteries are there to stay permanently. Are there permanently, but they're not. It literally, if they can prove that there's no descendants around, that there's no one that comes to it, and everybody's died off or it's been a long period of time, they can actually just go, done. Gone, history, and just I never ever knew that happened, and my grandmother told me about it because it was they were going to do it to a cemetery in Vermont.
I
And I
think
was
that's only
outraged.
certain, some like the one we went to in Sleepy Hollow. They're never doing that because that's a
No,
historic
but that's
cemetery.
still an active. They bury people still
Yeah,
there.
and it's historic, so I don't think they'll do that.
But isn't technically any like, I mean, what would constitute a historic cemetery?
Well, but the one that I'm talking about, you got to reel her in, folks, or we'll be on this sidebar. The one that I'm talking about, she said it wasn't exactly a pauper cemetery, but there aren't any wealthy people buried in this cemetery. It's all people that were just average blue collar,
run your mill,
yeah, people. So
indigents, as they would call us.
That's because she's like, there's no one famous buried here. There's no one rich buried here.
So it's the graves of the forgotten.
Regular. Unfortunately, that's why I was saying it's very ghost adventure-y to say that can unmarked graves, these people, can it contribute to them being restless or being angry or being sad, or the fact that, again, you're going to bury me, damn, put something on the ground with my name on it.
And just
like in Sleepy Hollow, there's headstones that have initials, like JBR. That's what's on the right. We saw them. What is this? Well, it's kind of the Gettysburg bodies, but yeah, you're right. No, there's probably a lot of bodies that are just in the ground. You're right about that, Laura, for sure. But that was.
But at least in the Gettysburg Cemetery, they give a nod to those ones that were dropped in, like with no names and stuff. They actually have, no named stones to represent that they're aware that they were soldiers out there that had lost their lives that weren't buried properly or with a name and they didn't know. So, but could you imagine not having any, like, nobody knows and nobody cares and nobody like.
Well, somebody pretty much said the same thing you did. There's a street paved over a former cemetery.
Yes.
And
yes.
But that happens a lot
happens
for these
an awful lot.
really old cemeteries. But we're, like I said, we're going to go up there. We're driving up there August 30th. We're meeting with this person at the cemetery. We're going to be able to walk through and see this stuff for ourselves, which, again, whatever happens after that meeting, we'll figure out whatever's next. But I told her our process that we would need to come in and investigate it. At first she was like, you can't come in during the day. And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, I said, too many cars, too many people, just too much. There's too much contamination as it is with it being a cemetery, being, where it is. Actually, not a cemetery. There was a home. Oh, okay. Less fortunate. Gotcha. But that was another thing. And then today, I actually, which was really, it was like my birthday today. In this regard, I got a call from.
I didn't get my coffee.
Go ahead, get your coffee. She gave you enough people. You get a little cameo.
Well, you're talking about what,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just be looking at me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen.
Go ahead. I carry the load, people. Carry it. The whole.
Heavy is the crown you
Atlas,
wear,
right?
Mr.
Isn't that
Savior.
Atlas that carries the globe?
Mr. Savior.
Isn't that Atlas?
Yeah, Mr.
Atlas.
Savior.
Johnless.
That cemetery had 8,100?
No.
8,101 when I'm done.
Oh, they're laughing. I could see them. Anyway, so today I get a call from Grant Wilson, Ghost Hunters. You guys all know Grant. You have to know Grant. And Grant and I were on the phone for over 2 hours. You want to talk about two people that really love talking about the paranormal and diving deep into the hows and the whys and the what ifs. It was 2 hours of just, again, when I last saw Grant was at the
2019?
Probably, yeah, the 2019 Expo. And Grant's one of the nicest guys you can meet. First time I ever met Grant was at this convention in Salem. And it wasn't a big convention. It was a little convention, but they had Nick Roth was there, John Zaffis was there, and Grant Wilson was there. And Chris and I go walking in the door, and I felt a hand on my shoulder. And I turn around, and first time I ever, there's Grant Wilson. And I was like, and
yeah,
he's
he
like,
approached you.
That's why I said hand on my shoulder. And I turned around, Grant Wilson. And I turned around before I could say anything. He says, "Hi, Grant Wilson, from Ghost Hunters. Good to meet you." And I'm like, duh. You don't think I know who you are? I'm like, I'm not worthy. It was like Wayne's World. And this is going back. This is going way back. And just the nicest guy. So then when he came to the expo, we're at the hotel after the night's over and everything. Everybody's kind of in little pockets talking to themselves. He comes over to me. His wife's over talking to some people. Chris was somewhere else.
Speed dipping all over everywhere.
Like she does. And Grant and I literally, it was like bromance. The rest of the room did not exist. Grant and I were
Isn't that the truth?
literally in this corner talking to each other for well over an hour and a half about everything paranormal under the sun, about his cases and things that we worked on. And again, it went by in minutes, and that's how the conversation today was. I'm literally on the phone with him here, talking to him for a while, get in my car, drive over to walk Walter. Walter had the best walk of his life because he was at the park for an hour and a half. And he loved every minute of it because I was just on the phone with Grant. And then, you don't want to know, John. And then, like I said, afterwards, he's like, because he would say something and then we would be talking about one subject. And I'm like, not to get sidetracked like I tend to do. I said, but what about this? And then we talk about that for a while. And Grant's the type of guy who goes back to the original conversation, and we kept doing that. And man, his theories, and I don't want to get into this, I can't, because he's doing a lot of research and a lot of things. Yeah, that's all top secret stuff. But because I am the,
but John likes
I am
to
the
tease,
Luke Skywalker, and he is the Yoda.
And you like to tease.
He could import that wisdom onto me, and all I could say is, wow, his thoughts and concepts are just, they're out there, but they make sense out there. And I would never say them before he says them, and he's going to present them in such a way when he does it. But wow, I mean, just, you want to talk about rabbit hole? Oof. I mean, everything he said, I was like, but what about, what about? And he would just listen. And he explained the whole thing to me where I was just like, makes sense. And every time I contradicted and said, yeah, but I could say this to that. And he would say, I understand that, but think about this. And it was like, again, it was like going to Harvard or Yale for some dope out of ABC College. That's the way I felt. I mean, a lot of the stuff we agreed on, a lot of things.
Basically, right?
Basic principles we agree on, but he goes way deeper than I've ever even considered. But he, like I said, for 2 hours, we had the best conversation. And, it was so funny, again, not to be total fanboy here, but he was literally like, John, if you need anything, don't feel like you can't call me. And I'm like, I'm not that type of person, right? Even with John Zaffis, when she'll tell you, if I have something to ask John Zaffis or something I want to talk to him about, I'll text John Zaffis and I'll say, hey, what about this? And then my phone will ring and it'll be John. And we talk for a while. Grant's like, if you never need, you just want to talk about this stuff or you want to know more about it, if you need advice on a case that you're doing, and we talked about what we did last night, and he said 100% right what we did. That's how he would have handled it. He's like, John, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, Grant, who calls all the time. He's like, I'm the exact same way. I don't call people because I feel like I'm bothering
But tell them
them.
who you compared yourself, that you didn't want to be who.
Well, I don't know if they know the show, the movie Cable Guy, where he's calling every pick up, leaving messages. But yeah, it was a total bromance. Today was Paranormal Bromance Day.
I probably should be, but there's romance, jealousy. But
Grant won't do an interview on here. I've asked him.
Yeah, you want an insight to John? We're driving down the road, right? And he looks over and he sees White Castle and he goes, "Oh, my love, we must have a date soon. I miss you, my love." And I'm sitting right next to him.
And then I called it my precious, like Lord of the Rings, to make her feel better. But here's the thing about me. This person is the most social person on the planet. You put her in a room full of strangers, she's going to talk to a quarter of the room at least by the time she leaves. If it's
because I don't want anyone felt left out.
If it's a multiple hour type of event.
Yes.
Me, if they're paranormal people, I will happily have conversations with everyone and anyone that's around me. If it's about life stuff and human stuff, I got nothing to say.
He's like, "Here's Chris. I'm out of here."
I cannot make small talk to save my friggin' life. And it's just...
Not even with me.
It's just... It's
John,
like,
is it going to rain today? Look up the weather app.
It is just like such a paranormal. I can talk to paranormal for hours, like I did with Grant, and I thoroughly enjoy
it's a passion,
that conversation
because it
every
gets you
minute
past,
of it.
Because it gets you past. I think what people wouldn't understand about you is that you're an introvert. They think because you stand up in front of people and you do your presentations, they don't understand the introvert and what you deal with in social settings. You do have a social anxiety.
I mean, but I do have anxiety.
You can if you have to, but it's not graciously in some cases.
That's not true. Some of these people have been around me in other places.
No, I don't mean it's paranormal related. That's a difference. It's your passion and you connect on that level. Yeah. But on a regular type of going out to dinner, hanging out with people, or having it's beyond your capabilities. And I'm just saying this but people wouldn't know that seeing this side of you. They would think that you're very social, very outgoing, and you're quite the opposite. Quite the opposite.
There's a movie. Yeah, we're going to get off the beaten path. We'll get back on the paranormal stuff in a minute. There's a movie with Jack Nicholson, As Good as It Gets, where he's like super OCD, and he's really... I'm not like harsh with people in short that way, where I put people down and...
No.
But it's exhausting to me in a lot of ways to be around a lot of people and it not be the paranormal setting where it's just we're trying to make small talk and talk about other things. It exhausts me to where I'm like, so I'll tell you, I leave that area and I'm like, and it's terrible to be that person, but I don't like being that person, but it's just who I am, Yes. And it's not because I don't like people. I do. I like people, but man, I can't,
yeah, it's a good movie. He's right.
Yeah, I can't. It's just like I'm not good at small talk and just making conversation about anything.
You have anxiety. John has anxiety about going in a room with people, then it's not paranormal people. It's again just an insight into this individual. He literally breaks into a sweat, has high anxiety, and it's just not a comfortable place, and you'll be like,
especially now,
you can't leave my side. Do not leave me. Don't let me live.
I mean, this is even worse. It's way worse with this thing. I mean, it's like I feel like every eye in the room is on me, and it makes it even worse.
But most people wouldn't think that. People would think that you're very social and very outgoing, and you're quite the opposite.
Look, even your saviors have flaws. I'm sorry, I have to tell you all that. Yes. Yeah, a lot of people get that. I mean, it's just, like I said, I'm not rude to people. I'm just, I go, here's Chris.
He does too, literally.
So then I should go up to John and start it. No, Celine, you got to admit, when you guys were at the Hoover House, I was very sociable with you guys. And when we were before we left, and we sat in that room and we talked to her and Dan. And that didn't have anything to do with the paranormal. We were just shooting the you-know-what.
You were in a comfortable setting at that point,
I had
though.
my
You
moments.
were
Don't take it away
relaxed,
from
and
me.
you're like, I'm
How
not.
dare you?
I'm not. You'd already done the paranormal. You're let your guard down, and
How dare you?
I know. I'm just telling it
dare
like it is. That's what I do. I do
Take
dare.
that away from me.
Take nothing. I give it.
I can talk to just about anyone in Aquarius. And believe me, yes, you are. I just want to torture you. I know. My wife is the same way. I'm the huge talker. You were in a haunted house, your comfort zone.
Exactly my point.
I can always fall back on that, yeah, if I'm in a place like that. But again, I can be social and talk to people in real life.
Yes, but it drains you.
Certain people know. There's certain people I like talking to.
Yeah.
I can't think of any offhand.
Including me.
But I'm sure they're out there. There's got to be. No, there's got to be a few if I really think really hard. Conversation with Rose. Phenomenal. Yes, Deb. That whole entire weekend was phenomenal. Although I don't know how some people remember that weekend when they had 10 bottles of empty bottles of wine in their room. But I'm not talking about anybody in particular. But
yes, there, Deb, because that was her word.
Yeah, that's true. But she was saying I can always stop the conversation with, did you hear that? That's actually not a bad move. I may be able to do that even public. Where's the scariest place you've ever been to in New Jersey? Patterson. No, kidding. Nothing to do with the paranormal. No, kidding. Scariest place in New Jersey.
Hey, Lauren.
Are we talking scary or are we talking like active?
Only 2 bottles.
There's a difference between scary and active. I've been in many active places. Place that have scared me was a private location that somebody lived in. That place scared me because I had never seen what I had seen in that building before, and it was somebody's home. So active, Stony Hill Mine, definitely one of the tops. Camp Evans is another one, and these are places that we're fortunate enough to go in and investigate often. And when we bring people in there, we're surprised how they're surprised, but we shouldn't be.
The mine scares me.
John Shea, long time, buddy.
Oh, John Shay's
how
on.
Are
hey,
you?
John.
What does he say?
You know, Halloween is in October, LOL.
He's talking about my past. You're talking about my past, John Shea. I was just being so nice to you. John, we haven't seen you in forever. We got to get to the Creeper on the Saturday one day to say hello. God, when was the last time we saw John?
It's been too long.
On a Zoom meeting.
It's been too long.
Have you ever done, I'm not into the weird New Jersey stuff, Nicholas. I'm not really, that's Tanya.
You have done it.
I've done it because I got dragged along to the Weird New Jersey tour that these other nuts wanted to do. And they were getting mad at me because I was like, this is fake. I can't debunk this. This is fake. And I tend to do that. That's the other part of me that, along with being antisocial, I also debunk a lot and tell people what they're seeing.
He's painting his own picture.
It's true. I'm the first to admit it. I have a problem. And
a problem.
Yeah, part of my problem, to be honest with you guys, and my good friend Tamara, did I say it right? Tamara is going to hopefully help me with this, and I put it on our page here. I use my laptop. Everything's on my laptop. Everything is on my. And again, younger people out there, if you're watching, I get it. I'm older. I should, and my banker was actually lecturing me today about this.
Really?
She was like, why don't you use Google Drive? Put everything on your Google Drive because it's in the cloud. Why are you saving anything to your hard drive anymore? And I'm like, I'm old. Please, I'm old. You know? But my my laptop totally cropped the bed. I lost everything. And when I say everything was on my hard drive. Everything for the last 3 years. And oh, I was so peeled because I took it to Geek Squad or whatever, and they wanted to charge me like $500 for something that whatever. But anyway, Tamara, hopefully she can help me. I'm giving it to her tomorrow. My oldest wants to do haunted places by home. Wanted to find a good place for her and I. Nicholas, I don't know where home is. Are you in Jersey? Are you what part of Jersey? I can maybe help you out with that if you tell me kind of where you're at. But anyway, um, looking forward tomorrow. I'm sure John Zaffis. Oh, Burlington Township, Burlington Prison, right there.
Yeah, right there.
Um, we're probably going to do a wrap up with John Zaffis again. I don't know how soon he'll be willing to do it. Hopefully, we can get him to do it next week. It'd be great if we could do the live on Tuesday and have him come on Thursday and talk about Camp Evans and the Love Tub, and we'll get him to sing the second version of the Love Tub. God help us all when he sees that again. But we'll have him back on and we'll do an entire wrap up of everything that happened. Please don't let there be a tornado again or 9 of them this time. But hopefully we can get
any weird weather.
Alex, we cannot guarantee anything. All we can guarantee is that we're going to do our best to engage and communicate with who's ever around us in that building and another building that's behind it. That's all we can promise is that we'll do our best. That building has been active in the past, including when John was there last time. It was, he said, John was literally like, I had to talk him into doing that event. And after he did that, what did he say?
He called us back up. How soon can we go back?
When can I do that again? I love that building. When can I do it again?
Yeah, it's one of his favorite places now. Yep.
Truly love what you two do. Appreciate you. Keep it real. Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate that. We try. We really try to just have these conversations, to do live investigations, to do interviews where we have different people on. Again, me and my bromance, Grant Wilson, who we're now bromance engaged, I think. He was even saying, see, I can't say stuff without.
No, you can't.
So all stop. I can say is that, from my perspective, is that your belief system is your belief system, based on how you were raised, your beliefs, of course, your parents, your environment, the people you surround yourself with. But that is not the only version of the truth or reality. That's my version of reality early on in the paranormal was based on what I'd been exposed to, what I had seen, people that I knew. But in the last 25 years, it's gone from something the size of a marble to something the size of this building, to where there are still things that I'm highly skeptical of. And again, my bromance partner, Grant Wilson, doesn't believe in angel or demons either, which I was glad that we had that in common. But
I still do.
You're wrong. But
no, I'm not.
But perspective-wise, your beliefs and perspective can be changed at any moment based on experience, based on people you speak to. And that's what's great about the paranormal. If we give you that much of your journey in the paranormal and it fits into your huge puzzle somehow, some way.
So what you're saying is like swimming in a swimming pool and not even knowing that there's a whole ocean out there. You're limited to that.
I like
the pool
my
is the pool. The
I like
little
my puzzle
pool
version better.
Is your own little world.
A pool and the ocean are two different things. Like
they're water.
You're talking about swimming in the bay and not knowing that the ocean, that would be the right comparison. But pool and ocean, no, not really.
Another one of his flaws.
But
yes.
But that's
Hey Stephanie.
That's what, again, I want you guys to take away from anything that we say and anything we do, that hopefully we influence that in a little bit of a way. And then you take that and you kind of go on your own journey and learn what you can learn and experience what you can
Debbie
experience.
from Australia.
Australia,
I'm sorry, I can't see, so
I am
you see
telling
me
you,
doing the old lady thing.
between Colette and people like Debbie and others, we are like the Hasselhoff of the paranormal. If we went to Canada, somebody on here was from Canada, Australia. Colette was from Australia, right?
Yeah, but all I can think about is him drunk and eating that burger. It's like, that's not a good look.
I thought of all. Anyway, you guys have a good night.
But yes, so
could you go back out and pretend that you're still going wherever you were going, please? I try to have a serious conversation here.
I know, but that's what popped in my brain.
And David Hasselhoff and burgers.
No, you did David Hasselhoff. I said burgers.
I was talking about how he's really popular in other countries,
famous.
but
Germany
the US.
And yes.
That's from my analogy, not the burger analogy. But again, people wonder the paranormal savior, why I am dubbed that. And then we have Deputy Droopalong. There was Quick Draw McGraw.
Droopalong.
If anybody who remembers, Quick Draw McGraw was the rabbit.
Droopalong?
And then there was a sidekick.
You don't tell an older woman Droopalong.
Deputy Droopalong.
You don't say that to an older woman.
But anyway, we'll let you guys know how well, Kathy's coming tomorrow night too. Awesome. We'll let you guys know. We're going to take a lot of pictures of the people that are there and of John Zaffis and the whole lecture thing. Nearly impossible to stream before we do an event, especially like that with John, because so much is going on. But I'm sure you'll see us again Sunday night if we're awake and we're alive, as far as getting home at a decent hour and showering and being up for it. We'll kind of do a live where we kind of talk about it without John, and then we'll Tuesday night live. I'm trying to get back into the rotation of Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, but it gets a little difficult.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that have interfered, unfortunately, personal stuff.
But what I want you to take away from this is that Tuesday night live from Berkeley. Yes. Hopefully we'll be doing a wrap up with John on Thursday. Hopefully, Brett Wilson and I are paranormal engaged, if there is such a thing, and hopefully that cemetery. We'll fill you in on that. When we go there and we tour, we'll fill you in on that stuff too. Again, the things that this is what people don't get about the.
They do have jobs.
No, the paranormal stuff in general. Again, making money is important in any aspect of your life. Yes, of course. Would we love to be Zach Baggins and be rich and live in a big mansion and be making money from doing this? Sure, I would in a minute. But it's not the be all, the end all. The opportunities and the experiences are kind of payment in themselves. The fact that someone out of the blue could call me about a cemetery from the 1800s that hasn't been open in 8 years, and they're experiencing things, and they're like, come in, and that's like money to me. You know, it's like, wow, we get to do this.
Yeah, that's
really cool. Nobody else is going to be able to do this. We're going to be able to do that.
That's your reward.
So I don't know if
that's
makes
our
sense.
Reward.
Makes sense.
It does. It makes sense to us. Probably not to most people, but to us it does.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again either Sunday or Tuesday when we talk about the Love Tub. Oh no, that's going to be the Berkeley College.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's going to be cool.
That's going to be interesting.
Talking about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll be too. First time us doing it, and you'll be watching. So,
good night. Stay healthy. Be safe, and please be kind to each other. It really matters. Good night.
Night, everybody. Oh, you're late, Christine, and it is hello and goodbye.